The leaders of the highest performing teams don't just hope the team members' generosity and social skills will emerge to support effective collaboration. They intentionally create these norms and routines.
Good morning. I'm Michael Kovnat. This is the Next Big Idea Daily, where we bring you key insights from some of today's smartest nonfiction writers. Today's guest, organizational psychologist Vanessa Druskett. She spent decades studying what separates the best teams from the rest. Spoiler, it's not hiring superstars. It's about creating emotionally intelligent norms, team rituals and routines that make people feel valued, connected, and safe enough to share their best ideas. Sound like a leadership fantasy? It's not. Here's Vanessa to share some practical insights from her book, The Emotionally Intelligent Team.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Druskett, a professor at the University of New Hampshire. I wrote The Emotionally Intelligent Team, Building Collaborative Groups That Outperform the Rest. The book shares what my colleagues and I have learned in 3 decades of studying teams in organizations. We had 2 goals: to take a deep dive into identifying the norms, routines, and patterns of behavior commonly used by the highest performing teams in organizations across multiple industries. Our research has compared those outstanding teams to average teams doing the same work to identify what makes teams at the top of their game unique. Our second goal was to apply what we learned to develop a practical roadmap that any leader can use to build higher performing teams. There's abundant evidence that teams are far better than individuals at making difficult decisions and solving complex problems. In fact, high-performing teamwork has driven every major innovation in human history. But how do you build an excellent team? That's the challenge. It turns out that it's not that difficult once you know the basic guidelines, but it does involve persistent intent and team involvement. I'm going to share 5 key insights from my book. Building great teams is not about hiring stars. Many leaders believe that building a high-performing team requires hiring star employees. If you're a manager, you might have tried this yourself. However, you've probably also learned that intelligence, abilities, and personalities are poor predictors of how people behave in teams and what they can contribute to your team's success. This evidence has existed for decades, but most people, including leaders, have been indoctrinated into focusing on individual performance. By far, the best predictor of motivation and behavior in teams is the specific norms that a team adopts to define how members will interact and work together. Norms are the patterns of behavior, routines, habits, and rituals that define a team's culture and make each team unique. Norms vary greatly among teams conducting the same tasks. They also affect the extent to which team members' intrinsic needs are addressed, which in turn arouses the emotions that influence their motivation and trust in teamwork and collaboration. For example, neuroscientists find that evolution has shaped us to be highly sensitive to signals of disrespect and social rejection. These emotions foster distrust in teamwork and motivate self-protection and conformity, driven by egoistic concerns. On the other hand, neuroscience reveals that our brain craves a sense of genuine acceptance and mutual support within groups. Teamwork thrives when norms foster and maintain a sense of belonging within a community that supports team members and their shared goals. We found such norms in the highest performing teams we studied across industries. The reliability of these norms engendered trust, psychological safety, and a shared sense of ownership over team outcomes. Members felt more in control of their own fate and the team's. Formal and informal team leaders establish the norms that govern behavior within teams. And many leaders unknowingly propagate norms that don't support belongingness and trust. Instead, in the name of efficiency, they establish norms that prioritize the direct exchange of information and resources without requiring empathy or mutual support. On the surface, this can seem perfectly satisfactory to leaders. Our research identifies such norms in average performing teams across industries. The lack of community reduces engagement and collaboration, which are essential to innovation and high-performing teamwork. The disappointment this creates can lead to disengagement, in some cases, even destructive behavior. Your team needs emotionally intelligent norms. My colleagues and I found that the best teams, and I'm referring to outstanding teams in industries such as pharma, manufacturing, banking, and engineering, adopt what we call emotionally intelligent norms. These norms address the innate needs of all team members, thereby creating a productive social and emotional environment that supports active participation, effort, and critical, sometimes heated, debates that lead to successful team decisions and outcomes. The leaders of the highest performing teams don't just hope the team members' generosity and social skills will emerge to support effective collaboration. They intentionally create these norms and routines. Team members need to understand each other better. My colleagues and I worked with a global leadership team that wasn't reaching its full potential because members were working in silos rather than focusing on the team's shared goals. They were competing one another rather than collaborating. With our help, they decided to adopt norms and routines that enabled them to learn more about each other's roles and responsibilities. They even visited one another's office locations. It boosted their sense of belonging and mutual support, which enabled the sharing of feedback and ideas that benefited the success of each person. Much of this feedback helped increase the emotional intelligence of individual team members, which in turn improved their relationships outside of the team. Think of it this way. No sports team or musical group would assume they could play well together unless they knew something about their teammates' unique backgrounds and talents, as well as what that person needed from others to play at their best. You need routine assessments of the team's strengths and opportunities. We worked with a team whose leader was overly controlling and projected his fear of making mistakes onto his teammates. Team performance declined, prompting the leader to replace 2 team members. As a result, team members felt undervalued and fearful, which increased competition within the team and hindered their collaboration. With the leader's support, they developed a proactive action plan to adopt team norms, which included monthly structured meetings. During these meetings, team members first discussed what was and wasn't working well in the team and brainstormed changes they would incorporate to ensure their team's goal achievement. Their new norms also increased their focus on helping and learning from one another. In those monthly meetings, 2 members shared their challenges and others provided feedback and assistance. These monthly meetings were well structured to keep the time to 60 minutes. They opened each meeting with one member sharing an optimistic view of the team's chances for success. By collaborating to address the team's and members' challenges, the team leader's confidence in the team increased, and the team outpaced its competitors within the year. You need to develop norms that engage your team in both optimistic and pessimistic discussions. The team needs to both anticipate problems and create a vivid, hopeful, and motivating view of their ability to achieve shared success. This is what's done in the highest performing teams we've studied. Engaging with stakeholders fosters innovative thinking within teams. One team we worked with adapted a norm of ensuring stakeholder communication and involvement. They developed a stakeholder map that listed their stakeholders and then assigned one team member to serve as an ambassador to each stakeholder. The information they obtained helped them think more strategically about their priorities and ask for resources that would support their performance. For example, support for changes that the team sought. In one manufacturing organization, good relationships with stakeholders enabled the team to receive new and improved equipment. In a pharma team, good relationships allowed the team to receive quicker decisions from senior management. The highest performing teams we studied recognized that they did not have all the information and resources they needed to succeed within their teams. I like to say that a team doesn't need to reinvent the wheel if they talk to someone outside of their team to learn that the wheel exists. My colleagues and I have now helped hundreds of teams improve their collaboration and performance by focusing their attention on whether their norms, routines, and habits build an emotionally intelligent culture. Building high-performing teams is not rocket science, but it does require leaders to recognize that team building is not about fixing people or hiring for the perfect set of skills. The leader of one of the highest performing teams we studied in a Fortune 100 company said it best when she told me, "No one on my team has A+ skills, but we collaborate in ways that produce A+ work." If there's a secret to building great teams, it's the need to develop interaction norms and routines that bring out the best in team members and utilize team members' talents. Emotionally intelligent norms arouse intrinsic motivation and build continuous assessment, learning, and adaptation into a team's everyday culture.
Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, everyone, you can get a copy of The Emotionally Intelligent Team using the link in the episode notes. That's our show for the day. If you got something out of it, please leave us a rating or review in your podcast player and head over to the App Store to download the Next Big Idea app. It'll give you access to thousands of big ideas right in your pocket. I'm Michael Kovnat. Hope to see you tomorrow.